Welcome to this edition of the Luke Winstall Show. My next guest is a 4.5-star kicker out of Dothan High School in Alabama, Will McCarthy. Thank you for joining me on the show. How are you doing today?
Thanks for having me, Luke. I'm doing good, actually.
Awesome. Glad to hear it, Will. Excited to talk with you. My first question for you, how'd you get into kicking?
Let's see. Kicking all started probably around 8th or 9th grade. I had soccer, intertwined since probably 6th grade. And then it was about 8th or 9th grade when, I got to a high school and I realized they have football now, and there's this kicking coach who actually lives in Dothan, Alabama, my hometown. His name is Brian Jackson, and he is a ex-arena kicker, and he's now a professional kicking consultant. And he teaches at a high school, a 2A private high school in my city. And I reached out to him and see if I could, get some lessons. And I went out one day, and then first day I kicked, 20, 25-yarder. And that day, it just hit me. I kind of want to do this. That was a really cool feeling. And then it kind of just sprung off from there.
Awesome. And working with Brian, what does your training look like?
Currently?
Yes.
Okay, so training with him is basically every weekend. And I basically just go out to either his house. He has a backyard he installed 2 telephone poles with a net to mimic a field goal. And it's either at his house or a local high school field that he rented out. And basically it's kicking charts from different distances, 2 kicks at 25, 2 kicks at 30, all the way back to 50, and it's constantly him in my ear, just helping me out, critiquing me. And then we'll move to kickoffs. And then there's also other kickers there that pay for group sessions. And then we do that as much as we can until that AHSAA rule comes in, where it can't be a one-on-one with a coach and a player. So then we have to, change it up a little bit.
Got you. Okay, so you go from becoming a kicker, working with Brian, now to getting to the high school level. So what's been the story of your progression over at Dothan, the highest classification in Alabama, to becoming the kicker that you are there?
Well, it all started my 10th grade year. And the funny thing is, I did not start out as a kicker. I was the mascot 2 weeks into the school year. And I became the first Dothan Wolf for our first game and against Clarksville. And after that game, our kickoff, our main kicker, he pulled his hamstring or quad, one of those. And we were playing Eufaula, Alabama that next week. And the coach passed me in the hallway, and in desperate need of a kicker, he basically just came to me and he said, "Would you like to dress out this Friday and kick off for us?" And I'd been waiting for that, because 9th grade, we didn't really have a special teams, unit going on. And I finally got my chance. And that Friday, I kicked off against Eufaula, and, they were landing on the 5-10-yard line. And we ended up winning that game. And then I kicked kickoffs for the next 3 or 4 games until the senior kicker was back. And then that 10th grade year, we went on to the first round of the playoffs, and we got knocked out by Spanish Fort. And then that was the 10th grade year. And then my junior year, this past year, I was obviously the starting kicker. And, the seniors moved up, and I was doing, PATs, field goals, kickoffs. And we had a pretty decent season. Obviously, COVID hit, kind of messing things up. A lot of players lost, starters. But we did what we could, and we almost made it to the playoffs, but just fell a little bit short. And so that was sophomore and junior year. And when I seriously started with the whole college, want to do it after high school type thing, it was around March of this year where I came back to Jackson after about a year off, and I basically just said, I kind of want to give this a try again. So we did a evaluation in his backyard. I kicked about 8 field goals, and he had me go from the tee to the ground that first day. And he was completely surprised at the height and the power and the trajectory of the ball coming off of my, first day off the ground. Because usually that's a month or 2 transition for kickers. And immediately he just kind of told me, you need to do this. This is your thing. I've never seen a kicker transition that fast. And hearing that coming from a kicking consultant coach immediately just sparked something in my head, like, I can do this. And so that was the start of motivation, really. And then April was my first showcase, ever competing. And it was in Jackson, Mississippi. And I placed top 3 in field goals. And then I met some great coaches from Mississippi, coaches from Belhaven, Mississippi College, just local colleges around. And basically it was about 50 or 60 kickers, and it was first one to miss, you're out, and we kept backing up. The next one would step up, and then it got down to the top 3, and I missed a live rep and then got 3rd place. So that was a great experience. That was my first time seeing, how I compare to different people. And then the next event was in May, and that was the spring game. We played Carroll High School, and I made 3 out of 3 on PATs. I zoned 2 out of 4 kickoffs, and then we won 30-12. And I also had a 25-yard field goal that game as well. And then one more event in May that I had was in New Orleans, and it was called a top 20 event. And that was where I really, the stage got a little bit bigger, and probably close to 70 kids out of there from, 24, 23, 22 grad class, all the way up to 21 actually. And I hit my PR for kickoff, a 67-yard 3-5 hang. And it was split up into divisions as far as like Southeast, Northeast, and then like Southwest. So basically just divided with, regions around America. And the Southeast one, obviously, where Alabama's located. And I placed 2 in field goal, 2nd in field goals for 2022, and then 8th in kickoff. And that was kind of a big turning point for me, because I realized, where I stand with, some kids who are committed to or not committed, but are having looks from Georgia and, Mississippi State, big names, and me out kicking them just kind of, it kind of hit me like, this is going pretty good. And basically after that, I got the 4.5 star rating, and I received the 21st place in the nation for a class of 2022. So yeah, basically that's the whole catch up of how it's been since I got started.
Awesome. All right. A lot to dive into. So when you go, when you go into these camps and you're kicking really well, the results are going good. I'm curious, what was your reaction this summer when you're first named the 4.5 star kicker, top 25 in the nation, number 21? What goes through your head?
It was crazy. I was waiting for weeks. I knew that I did good that past tournament or showcase, and I was just expecting, to go from 72 as a 4-star, 72nd in the nation. I was really hoping, I could jump up compared to how I did to those guys. And when I saw it was 4.5, it kind of just, it really helped me realize how close I am to being what I could want to be, if that makes sense. And 21st in the nation, that just, it hit me, because there's a lot of kickers, and being 21st, it's an honor, and it's honestly just a humbling experience, because there's obviously higher places that I want to reach, and I guess just all up from there.
For sure. And looking down the NKR list, a lot of guys around here that are working with NKR and on that list that are going to kick in college as well. So I know that that's become a goal for you, being a college kicker. So in terms of recruitment, what's your status and how have things been going for you?
Things have actually been going great. Thanks to Twitter. That's been the main source for me. Told by Coach Jackson, he always preaches, Twitter's like a free recruitment profile. So basically, back in March, I started my Twitter, and then he would always just tell us, follow as many coaches as you can, make as many connections as you can, So this past 3 months or so, I've just been, researching coaches, following them. I've got a lot of follow backs actually, and I have a message that I send to each college, catered to the campus and the football programs, and I'm getting looks from schools as far as NAIA, up to Division 3, 2, and 1. And a lot of it's just pending on my senior season. So basically, as long as my senior season goes good, I show out, show that I can consistently kick well, I should be getting a lot of follow-up as far as recruitment.
Awesome. And going into this season, you've really been putting together some good videos on Twitter for sure. One of those that I saw that was really cool was the personal record for you, 62-yard kick. So what's gone into that and extending your range out to show how far you can go?
Yeah, so that was the 62-yarder. That was actually July 8th, that whole weekend, 8th through 11th, and that was in Murfreesboro about 2 weeks ago. And that was probably the best compilation. It was over 4 days, and they were all live streamed. That's probably the best I've ever kicked. And the first day I kicked great. The second day I actually, I had I was stuck in a rut. And one thing to know about kickers is that not every day you can hit your A ball. You're not going to kick as great as you want to every single day. And there's going to be days where, something's off or something's in your head. And I'm a very mental person, so that kind of got me down a little bit. I still made 9 out of 10 kicks, but they just weren't my A ball, so that kind of threw me off. And so that day was, a little bit of a setback. And then I came back the third day, and at the end of the charting, we went into a competition. And basically it was split up with 4 kickers, and I was obviously facing one, and then 2 others were facing each other. And we started all the way up at 25 yards, and then it was 2 misses and you were out. And it was versus each kicker. So I beat out the first kicker, and then there was a winner from the other section. And then the thing is, I missed one in that first show out with the first kicker, and then the other side's kicker, he hadn't missed at all. So basically, I had to beat him, and he had to miss 2. And I could miss 1 and I'd be out. So basically, I was starting a little bit behind, and we started from 55, and then we backed up 57 left hash, 57 right. And I can't remember which kick it was, but he missed one of the 60 in kicks, and then it was flat, it was even. So we backed it up to 60. We both made that, and then we backed it up to 62, and then he kicked it, and he missed it. And then I stepped up, and I was, in my head, I was thinking, I'm going to make this. I've been kicking best I've ever kicked today. So I, line up, and then I was told just kick it just how I always do. I'm going to get the distance. So I went in for it, kicked it, and then it sailed through the air exactly how I wanted it to. And then it fell about 3 yards behind the post, and then that was it. The competition was won, and I just realized that was my PR. So that was a great moment.
That's awesome. Now, I know that so much of the kicking game is mental, so how would you describe your mental approach to kicking and the way you go about executing, especially when you're at these camps, in front of coaches, in these pressure-type environments?
Yeah, so the pressure is a real thing, obviously, with pitchers, quarterbacks, kickers especially. The way I approach that is I honestly do better when I don't think about anything, and there will be times when I'll think about my plant foot, my, follow through, my last kick. That's a big one. It all depends on, how you've done before that or how you're expecting to do. And I find it most easing if I just, I stare at the top of the uprights, and then I calm myself. I look at my holder, and then take a deep breath, and then just focus on one thing only. It's just doing what I do every single time. It's all about repetition. So when I'm in these competitions in front of coaches, I like to just think of it like I'm at a training session with Coach Jackson. And then just, every field goal post is the same concept. You just have to kick the ball through. So that's basically what's going through my head is I just clear it and then just go for it.
Going into your senior season as a class of 2022 kicker, what are you looking forward to most?
I'm looking forward to obviously trying to get as far as I can with my team, because after getting knocked out that first round my sophomore year, seeing those seniors, my not idols, but my peers, go off crying, their senior year didn't end how they liked. I want to give it my all to, I owe it to my fellow seniors, to the juniors, to the sophomores to, make it happen, get as far as we can. Obviously, the ring is the goal. And I feel like it'd be a great thing if everyone was on their A game, offense, defense, special teams. I want to make every kick I take this year and then try to zone at least 75% of the kickoffs. So I'm most excited just to get in pads again, Friday Night Lights. Yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. Well, Will, that's all the questions I had for you. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.